Students, this is our online lecture number 4. It's a continuation of chapter 6. And remember, please, before I forget, you must go through Shireen 9 and Shireen 10. Shireen 9 and Shireen 10 have all the details about this PowerPoint. I repeat, Shireen 9 and Shireen 10, very, very important to accompany that chapter. This is the beginning of the chapter. Of course, we covered the first 16 the types of cost and the definition of with differentiation between accounting and costs. What is the difference between the short run and the long run? I told you that in all our analysis we assume that we are doing remember, we are studying production theory right now. We are assuming that the producer operates in the short run, which means that he has some fixed inputs and some variable inputs, and as a result he has some fixed cost and some variable cost. And we assume all the time that is the type of market that we operate in is the perfectly competitive market, where we have large number of buyers and sellers, homogeneous products, easy entry to the industry and exit from the industry, and equal access to information. And these are the definitions of the different types of costs that we covered before. And this is the production function, the example that we showed last time. I'm not going to go through. And this is some numerical examples about how to calculate the level of output that maximizes the producer profit. These are the cost curves as they look: total cost curve, total variable cost curve, and total fixed cost curve. And remember, in all these cost functions, we have money measured vertically and the level of output measured horizontally. And these are the profit function, the total cost function, the total revenue function, and again, money is measured vertically and the level of output is measured horizontally. Remember, here profit could be negative, but negative profit, it means losses, okay, are positive. It doesn't mean that the variable is negative, because the technical name for negative profit is losses. And this is how the unit cost curve look like. This is average variable cost is the dark blue, average fixed cost is the pink, marginal cost is the turquoise or the blue, the light blue, and average total cost is the yellow curve. This is again as measured using the numbers that were shown in the previous table. And you can measure and you can actually graph that yourself. Just connect the points, okay? Each point, each point, remember the point is defined by whatever is measured horizontally, comma, whatever is measured vertically. Okay, and all of them are included in two brackets. And these are the nodes, okay, average variable cost and average total cost, they look like the letter U. Average variable cost reaches its minimum because before the minimum of average total cost. Average fixed cost declines all the way as the level of output goes up, but never reaches zero. Marginal cost falls as the level of output goes up, reaches a minimum before the minimum of both of average variable cost and average total cost, and then marginal cost after that increases all the way as the level of output goes up. Of course, assuming that you can produce as much as you can by using more inputs. Okay, so it has an end, but theoretically, at least, we can say that once the marginal cost reaches its minimum, after that it will go up all the way as long as the level of output goes up. And this is again about in the same numerical example and the calculations of the different variables before. And we remember we reached at the end of our last online lecture 3, we reached the conclusion that in order for the individual producer who operates in a perfectly competitive market to maximize profit, that individual producer should produce the level of output at which the marginal cost of output is equal to the marginal revenue of output. And we said that in the perfectly competitive market, marginal revenue of output is the same as average revenue of output, which is the same as the unit price of output. This is the optimality condition. This is if the individual producer produces that level of output at which marginal cost of output is equal to marginal revenue of output, it means that, or the unit price of output, or average revenue of output, it means that the producer will maximize his profit. And this is the graphical, this is the thing that we did not discuss last time. This is the graphical presentation of the story. Here, as you can see, here we are measuring this is in money. Here we have dollar. Okay, and this is the level of output measured in physical units. Marginal cost curve, this is how it looks like. Okay, this is, again, here we are graphing that using continuous smooth curves. This is not graphed from the table that we got before, but actually, if you graph it from the table, it will look something similar to that. So this is marginal cost. As you can see, as the level of output increases, marginal cost keeps on declining, reaches its minimum right here. And then as the level of output increases, marginal cost increases all the way. Average variable cost, you see here, as the level of output goes up, it declines, it reaches its minimum right here. And then as the level of output goes up, average variable cost increases all the way. And then the same thing for the average total cost, because average total cost is average fixed plus average variable. And as the level of output goes up, average total cost keeps on declining till it reaches a minimum right here. And then after that, as the level of output goes up, average total cost increases all the way. As you can see, marginal cost, this is the minimum of marginal cost. This is the minimum of average variable cost, and this is the minimum of average total cost. As you can see here, this corresponds to 3 different levels of output. But the most important point is that when marginal cost is equal to average variable cost at the minimum of average variable cost, which means that marginal cost is equal to average variable cost at the minimum of average variable cost, also marginal cost is equal to the minimum of average total cost at the minimum of average total cost, because because marginal cost penetrates average total cost curve at its minimum, which is right here. So this is very important. Okay, and as you will see later, that from this point right here, from this point right here, all the way up, this is a very important part of the marginal cost curve. From this point right here all the way up, this is a very important part of the marginal cost curve, because as you will see later on at the end of this lecture, it is the supply curve of the firm. It is the supply curve of the firm, which is the portion of the marginal cost curve from the minimum of average variable cost all the way up. Okay, this is the marginal supply curve of the firm, and we will explain what supply curve of the firm is. The supply curve of the firm or the supply function. It is the function that shows the relationship between the quantity supplied or the quantity produced of output and the factors affecting the quantity produced. Okay, we will see that later on. This is a portion of the marginal cost curve from the minimum of the average variable cost. Okay, it is the supply curve of the firm in a perfectly competitive market. It is the portion of the marginal cost curve from the minimum of average variable cost all the way up, which shows that as the price of output goes up, more will be supplied, and as the price of output goes down, less will be supplied. Less will be supplied, that means that the quantity supplied will go down. More will be supplied, that means the quantity supplied will go up. I'm gonna remember this graph because we will need that thing all the way up. All these relationships and all what I said so far, as I told you before, it is in Shreen 9 and Shreen 10. As I said before, actually, this story will continue. Any price above, so P5 is good, is super price because the producer will produce Y5, which will make him make a lot of profit. P4 is still nice because it's above average total cost and above average variable cost. P3 is still nice because it is above average total cost and above average variable cost, till we reach this point right here. Till we reach this point right here. Okay? Till if the price is equal to minimum of average total cost, it means that profit will be zero, because total revenue will be equal to total cost. Okay? Any price below minimum of average total cost, which means prices from here to here. Remember, I'm concentrating about the marginal cost curve from this point up. Okay? Any price between this yellow point and this yellow point, it means that the producer will not make positive profits. It means total revenue will be less than total cost, but is still good enough for the producer to continue producing in the short run. Why? Because all of the fixed costs are covered and the part of the variable cost is covered. Okay? So this will happen, so the producer will continue producing for any price that lies between minimum of average total cost and minimum of average variable cost. The profits will not be positive, it will be negative. But because it is short run, and because the producer is covering all of the fixed cost and the part of the variable cost, the producer will keep on producing. As you can see here, price if the price is P2, which is somewhere between the two yellows, the producer will produce Y2. If the producer produces Y2, he will not make positive profits. He will make negative profits. But because the price is P2, the producer is covering all of the fixed cost and the part of the variable cost. And that's why he will continue in the short run. And the story will apply for any price between these two yellow points, till we reach minimum of average variable cost, which is right here. Till I reach this point right here. If the price is equal to minimum average variable cost, okay, this will be the minimum price acceptable for the producer to continue producing. Because at this red point right here, when the price is equal to minimum of average variable cost, it means that the producer is covering all of the fixed cost and none of the variable cost. Any price below that price at which that price is equal to minimum of average variable cost, any price below minimum of average variable cost, the producer will shut down the business immediately. Because in that case, if the price is below average variable cost, it means that the producer will not cover all of the fixed cost and will not cover any of the variable cost. Which means that if the price is below the minimum average variable cost, it means that if I produce, okay, I will lose more. So in order for me to cut down on my losses, I should shut down my business immediately in order to, because it means that the business is not profitable, I should do something else. This applies if you have a food processing factory, or if you have a farm, or if you have any type of business. Which means that the moral of the story here, it means that the minimum price acceptable for the individual producer who operates in the perfectly competitive market is a market price at least equal to the minimum of average variable cost. Any price below the minimum of average variable cost, the producer should shut down the business immediately and do something else. If I have a food processing factory, I should forget it and open a restaurant probably, okay, or open a school. If I have a farm, I'm just an agricultural producer, I should do something else, okay? So this is the moral of that graph. So the part of the marginal cost curve from the minimum that is shown in red here, is the supply curve of the firm in the short run. Suppose that I want to know the supply curve of the firm in the long run. The supply curve of the firm in the long run is the portion of the marginal cost curve from the minimum of average total cost, from that minimum right here. Okay, this is the supply curve for the firm in the long run. But for the supply curve for the firm in the short run, it is a portion of the marginal cost curve from the minimum of average variable cost, not average total cost. The story tells you that the producer in the short run can operate with market prices that are not covering all of the costs, variable and fixed. But as long as the price is somewhere between the minimums of average total and average variable, it means that that price is good enough to cover all of the fixed cost and the part of the variable cost. The minimum price acceptable for the producer to operate in the short run is a price equal to the minimum of average variable cost. Any price below the minimum of average variable cost, the producer should shut down the business immediately, which means that I should change my business to something else, because it means that the more I produce, the more I lose. And in order to cut down my losses is to shut down the business immediately. And these are the graphs that right here. You see the price P star. Okay, remember here we have dollars again. And here we have the level of output. So here, this is again the marginal cost curve, the average total cost curve, the average variable cost curve. Marginal cost curve is equal to average variable cost at its minimum. Marginal cost is equal to average total cost at its minimum. Okay, the minimum of marginal cost curve is not shown here because it has no value. Okay, in economic analysis. The P star, which is the market price, is the minimum price acceptable for the firm, because it is equal to, this P star is equal to the minimum of average variable cost. Any price below P star, okay, any price below P star, no production at all. I'm going to shut down the business. Okay, so P star is the minimum price acceptable, the minimum market price, the minimum output price acceptable for the individual producer to operate in the short run. If you want to know the minimum price acceptable for the producer in the long run, it will be a price that is equal to minimum of average total cost, right here. Okay. This is what I can tell you about it here, and that story again is written in, I think, Shreen 10 in great detail. Just open the PowerPoint document, look at the graph, and read my words. Why I do not teach from my Shreen documents? Because they are already self-explanatory. They explain themselves, because these are my words, remember. I'm not copying that in any of my Shreen Word documents. I'm not copying anything from textbooks. These are my words to the student. This is what I should be writing on the board. Okay? So there is, in my opinion, the phrases explain themselves. And as it says here, this is the firm short-run supply curve. Okay? Actually, this is wrong. Actually, that portion, this is the long-run supply curve, not the short-run. Okay, this is written wrong here. Okay? The short-run supply curve is a part of the marginal cost curve that comes from the minimum of average variable cost. Remember here in this graph, average variable cost is not shown. Okay? So that red part is the firm's long-run supply curve, okay? But if you want to go all the way down, suppose that I'm going to have here, for example, this will be the average variable cost. Okay? In that case, this will be from this point that I made for the marginal cost curve, this will be the supply curve in the short run. But what is written here, this is firm long-run supply curve. Excuse me for that. It's a mistake. Okay? So the marginal cost portion above average total curve is the firm's long-run supply curve, not short-run, ya habibi. Okay? This is wrong. Long-run. Okay? Marginal cost portion above average variable cost is the firm's short-run supply curve. Okay? And here, as you can see, PM, PM it means market price. Okay? Again, we have dollars here. PM is the minimum price. Okay? Any price below PM, okay? Again, the supply will not be zero. Okay? Because here, but any price below minimum of average variable cost. Okay, so please, to correct this slide, what is written here, this is firm long run, not short run. Long run supply curve. Why? Because I'm referring to the portion of the marginal cost curve above minimum of average total cost curve. If I'm referring to the part of the marginal cost curve above minimum of average variable cost, this will be the short-run supply curve of the firm. the story tells you that in the long run, if the price is below PM, okay, and if I am God, what does it mean I am God? I know what will happen in the future. Remember, producers are not God. They do not know what will happen in the future. So to them, PM here covers all of their fixed cost and all of their variable cost. Here, at a price of PM, total revenue is exactly equal to total cost. So profit are zero. Profit are zero are acceptable, are great in the short run, but not great in the long run. If I know that in the long run, inshallah, my dream is to cover all of my fixed cost and all of my variable cost, and as a result, my profit will be zero, I will shut down the business. But remember, producers are not God. And as a result, if the price is equal to minimum of average total cost, if the market price is equal to, or output price is equal to minimum of average total cost, this is good news to them. And they will continue production. Okay? Minimum price acceptable for them to produce in the short run, the price that will make them think should we shut down the business or not, is a price that is equal to minimum of average variable cost. Price equal to minimum of average variable cost is the minimum acceptable price for the individual producer who operates in a perfectly competitive market in the short run. Any price below a price that is equal to minimum of average variable cost, shut down of the business immediately and no production at all. These are examples to how to calculate profit in each case given a price. Okay, and this one is very hard for you to see it here, because in order for you to see that, I should produce it to you before your eyes. Okay, before your eyes, it means in front of your eyes. Okay, they call it in English before your eyes. يعني قدام عينيك. I have to show that graph to you. I should graph it to you graph by graph. Okay, but it tells you the same thing. You do not need to calculate, because this one here, if I talk about that, actually it is very hard for me to show that, how to do it online. But let me explain that graph. Suppose that price is equal to A. Okay, again here we have dollars. Suppose the price is equal to A. Okay, that price is above average total cost. Here, remember, he's talking long run, not short run. This is long run analysis, not short run. How did I know the average variable cost here is not shown? Why? Because in the long run, average variable cost is almost equal to average total cost. So here, he's talking about the long run analysis. Okay? So here, the price is equal to marginal cost. I'm going to produce Q. When I produce Q, I'm going to have positive profits. Positive profits, we call it economic profit. It means that total revenue is greater than total cost. Okay? And this is how it is calculated. Forget about that, because I have to show it. I cannot show it to you online here. Okay, but if the price, market price, which is the price of product, is equal to A, I'm going to produce the level of output at which that price is equal to marginal cost, which will be, remember, the price is the same as marginal revenue. I'm going to produce Q. If I produce Q, I will make that blue part, which is economic profit. That blue part represents the difference between total revenue and total cost, and it is positive. We call it economic profit, and sometimes we call it rent to indicate, and sometimes we call it abnormal profit. So economic profit or abnormal profit or positive profit or rent, they are all the same. Let me repeat, economic profit or abnormal profit or rent or positive profit, all that is the same. So economic profit, rent, abnormal profit, it means that we have positive profit. We mean we have that total revenue is greater than total cost, and this is great news for the producers. This is a dream, but too bad that dream cannot continue. Why it cannot continue? Because when other producers see that the price of the product is high, because it is above average total cost, a lot of them will be encouraged to enter the industry. Let us say that we're talking about tomato production. Now the producers saw that the people who produced tomato last year made money. So what will they do? They produce tomatoes. Can anybody stop them? And the answer is no. Why? Because it is produced in a perfectly competitive market. Everybody's allowed. Remember, easy entry and easy exit from the industry. If you want to get in, you are welcome. If you want to get out, you are welcome. Nobody will stop you to get in, and nobody will stop you from getting out. So more producers will continue production, okay, of tomatoes. What will happen is that the supply of tomatoes will go up, and given the demand of tomatoes is constant, what will happen is that the price will drop from this price to a price below. Okay, And the story will continue all the way till we have a price that is less than, okay, again he's talking long run here. Here we have the price that is less than average total cost. This is bad news in the long run, okay? But if that price right here is more than or equal to the minimum of average variable cost, I will still continue producing in the short run. But in the long run, this is lost to me because total cost will be more than total revenue. I'm gonna find something else. Okay, I'm gonna do something else. I'm not gonna produce tomatoes. Okay. Here it says, should the firm, and this is to answer your question, should the firm take losses in the short run? Yes, it should. Okay. Because in the short run, as long as the price is above minimum of average variable cost, even though it is less than minimum of average total cost, it means that I am covering all of my fixed cost and the part of my variable cost. As long as I am covering part of my variable cost, then I should continue producing. Once the market price is equal to minimum of average variable cost, it means that I am covering all of my fixed cost and none of my variable cost. Okay, if I am not covering if I am covering none of my variable cost, it means that I should think. Okay, it means that this is the minimum price acceptable for me. Any price below minimum average variable cost, it means that I am going to shut down my business and do something else. So the minimum price acceptable for the producer in the short run is a price equal to minimum of average variable cost, because it means that this price covers all of my fixed cost but none of my variable. It means that the more I produce, the more I make losses. Okay, it means that this is the minimum price acceptable for me because at least I'm covering all of my fixed, but since I'm covering none of my variable, it means that this is the minimum price acceptable for me. Any price below the minimum of average variable cost, I'm going to shut down the business immediately. So the question is, should the firm take losses in the short run? And the answer is yes. Okay, as long as you are covering all of your fixed cost and the sum of your variable cost, you should continue producing in the short run. And this is the conclusion of the story. Here we have money again. And this is the level of output measured horizontally. Here, these are the different prices, okay, as we can see here. Minimum price acceptable is P1, okay? P1 is that price that is equal to minimum of average variable cost. Okay, this is any price below P1, no production. As the price goes up, as the market price goes up, I'm going to produce more. And what is written here, what is shown here in that graph is the firm's, actually it says here short run, but actually it depends on, okay, it should be long run. I'm sorry for that. Okay, because here we are talking about, remember, it could be a firm's short run supply curve if P1 is equal to average variable cost. But if P1 is equal to minimum of average total cost, it will be the long run supply curve. Okay, so please, if this could be firm's short run supply curve if P1 is equal to minimum average variable cost. It should be firm's long run supply curve if P1 is equal to minimum of average total cost. Okay, either scenario is correct. So if P1 here is equal to minimum average variable cost, this will be, the blue line here will be the firm's short run supply curve. If P1 here equal minimum of average total cost, in that case this will be the firm's long run supply curve. I hope I made myself clear. Let me repeat it. If P1 here is equal to minimum of average variable cost, then this part of the marginal cost curve is the firm's short run supply curve. If P1 here is equal to minimum of average total cost, in that case, that part will be the long run supply curve of the firm. Now that we obtained the minimum, the individual producer's supply curve, how can we obtain the market supply curve? Let us assume that there are two producers only in this industry. Let us say for a food processing factory, we have food processing factory number 1, food processing factory number 2. If we are talking about agriculture, we have farm number 1, farm number 2. By the way, they call it the firm, by the way. Okay? Firm, it means a producing entity. Okay? Here, remember, we are measuring, because we are talking about a supply function, we are measuring price. This is the price of output. Okay? Measured here, and the quantity supplied measured here, or the quantity produced measured here. The small q, it is the production that is made by firm 1. And the small q here is the production made by firm 2. Both firms face the same market price. When the price for firm 1 was 1, okay, the quantity supplied was 5. When it was $1, the quantity supplied was 5 kilograms. Okay, but when the price was 1, firm number 2 supplied or produced 3 kilograms. Okay, when the price increased, the market price increased to 2, firm number 1 produced 9 kilograms and the firm number 2 produced 5 kilograms. Now, suppose that, remember, the industry is composed only of 2 firms. Q here, the capital Q, is the market supply. How much will be supplied? Okay, and remember, it is the same market price because P is the same for the firm 1, firm 2, and the market. In that case, when the price was 1, the amount produced will be what? 5 plus 3, which is 8 kilograms. When the price increased to 2, then the market supply will be 9 plus 5, which will be 14. Connect the 2 points, you will obtain the supply curve. The supply curve here shows the relationship between the quantity supplied of the product and its own price, ceteris paribus. What is ceteris paribus? Assuming that all other factors affecting the quantity supplied are remained unchanged. Okay, and this is what I just explained. So we say that the market supply is the horizontal sum of individual producers' quantities supplied. The market supply is the horizontal sum of the amounts produced by the individual firms. Here we have something called the change in the quantity supplied and the change in supply. What is the change in the quantity supplied? The change in the quantity supplied is a movement along the supply curve as a result of a change of the own price of the commodity, ceteris paribus. Everything else remains unchanged. Okay, so when the price of the commodity goes up, the quantity supplied go down. When the price of the commodity goes down, when the price of the commodity goes up, the quantity supplied will go up. When the price of the commodity goes down, the quantity supplied will go down. We call that change in the quantity supplied. Okay, so the change in the quantity supplied is a movement along the supply curve up or down. Okay, movement up, we say it is called the increase in the quantity supplied. Movement down along the supply curve, it is called decrease in the quantity supplied. But if the whole supply shifts to the right or to the left, we say that we have a change in supply, not a change in the quantity supply, which is, as you can see here, it is a shift of the supply curve all the way, okay, that can happen because of a change. Anything happen except the own price of the commodity. So for example, if technological, what are the factors that affect the quantity supplied? The quantity supplied is a function of the own price of the commodity, okay, the price of inputs, technology levels, governmental policies, weather, diseases. If you are talking about agricultural products, these are the factors that affect the quantity supplied. When any one of them changes except the own price is the same, then the supply curve will either shift to the left, to the right, or to the left. For example, suppose technology is better, okay? What will happen to supply curve? Supply curve will shift to the right. What does it mean shift to the right? It means more quantity supplied given that the price of the commodity did not change. Okay? And the same thing if technology level is bad. In that case, supply curve will shift to the left. What does it mean it will shift to the left? It means the quantity supplied will be less despite that the price of the commodity is the same. Technology supply curve shift to the right, we say that it is increase in supply. Supply curve shift to the left, we call it decrease in supply. Suppose that input prices went up, okay, ceteris paribus, everything else remains the same. It means that the supply curve will shift to the left because input prices went up, and which means that less will be supplied despite that the price of the commodity is the same. Suppose that input prices went down. In that case, the supply curve will shift to the right, which means that the quantity supplied will go up despite that the price of the commodity did not change. Okay? Weather is good, supply curve will shift to the right. Weather is bad, supply curve will shift to the left. Governmental policies that encourages the production of the commodity, supply curve will shift to the right. What example of governmental policies? Subsidies, for example. They are giving help to the producer, the government is giving help to the producer to encourage the producer to produce more. Supply curve will shift to the right. Taxes. If you produce that commodity, you will pay more taxes. Supply curve will shift to the left. These are governmental impact of governmental policies. Okay? Diseases. A lot of diseases, supply curve will shift to the left. A little disease, supply curve will shift to the right, and so on. Okay? Prices of other goods. Suppose that now I'm talking about the supply curve of tomatoes. Now, let us say that we have substitutes for tomatoes. Actually, we don't for tomatoes, so let us talk about something that has substitutes. Supply curve of beef. Okay? Suppose that prices of other goods that are close substitutes or close complements to beef. For example, suppose that the price of chicken went up. Then the supply curve of beef will shift to the left. Okay? Prices of chicken went up, supply curve will move to the right. Okay, because they are substitutes. Prices of chicken went down. Okay, it means that the supply curve of beef will shift to the left. But despite that, let me please forget about the prices of other goods because I don't see that as a supply shifter. I disagree with the person who wrote this PowerPoint. The supply shifters are input prices, technological level, governmental policies, weather, diseases. These are really the factors that affect how much will be supplied. I do not like that thing right here. It is actually a demand shifter, not a supply shifter. So please forget about it. And these are examples of that shift. Okay? This is, you see the arrows here. Here we have the quantity supplied measured horizontally, the own price of the commodity measured vertically. Because by having the quantity supplied measured horizontally and the unit price measured vertically, in that case we say that we have a supply curve. This is the original supply, SS. Okay? An increase in supply, this is a parallel shift of the supply curve to the right. Okay? It means that for that price, okay, now more is supplied. Remember, the price is the same, but the quantity supplied increased from here to here. Okay, the opposite is right here. Suppose that you have a price like that. Okay, originally we were producing that much. After that, let us say bad weather, now we are producing that much. Okay, so this is shift in the supply curve. In the blue part we have increase in supply. In the orange part, we have a decrease in supply because the original supply in both cases is SS. When SS moves to become S prime, this is a rightward shift in the supply curve, which is called the increase in supply. Here we have the original supply, the orange one, SS. When, let us say, weather is bad, or input prices went up, or technological levels went down, or governmental policies are discouraging, or we have lots of diseases, okay, it means that the supply curve will shift to the left to become S prime. Remember, in our stories here, the price of the commodity did not change, it is the same price. Now, I said that, okay, remember, we have a relationship between the quantity supplied and the own price of the commodity. When the own price of the commodity changes, the quantity supplied will change accordingly. The elasticity of supply, this is a concept that tells you how to measure. Okay, it tells you by how much. Remember, along the supply curve, if the price goes up, the quantity supplied will go up. If the price of the commodity goes down, the quantity supplied will go down. The elasticity of supply is a measure of the responsiveness of the quantity supplied of the commodity to its own price changes. It tells you by how much the quantity supplied will change when a percentage change happen to the price. That is equal to percentage change in quantity supplied divided by percentage change in price. What will happen to the quantity supplied when the price of the commodity changes ceteris paribus? Okay, And here they tell you that if the value of the percentage change of the quantity supplied divided by the percentage change of the price, if this percentage or if this ratio is less than 1, we say that we have an inelastic supply. If it is more than 1, we say that we have elastic supply. If it is equal to 1, we say that we have a unitary elastic supply. Okay, so the supply elasticity is a measure of the responsiveness of the quantity supplied of the commodity to changes in its own price. Remember, when we talk about the changes in its own price, we assume that there are no changes anywhere else. Remember, in our course, okay, we have comparative static analysis. Every time when I tell you what will happen to the quantity supplied when the price of the commodity changes, I have to say ceteris paribus, which means that everything else remains the same. We change only one variable at a time. We do not change more than one variable at a time. Okay? So when we talk about elasticity of supply, what will happen to the quantity supplied when the price of the commodity goes up by 1%? Okay? If it goes up by less than 1%, we say we have inelastic supply. If the quantity supplied goes up by more than 1%, we say that it is elastic supply. If the quantity supplied goes up by 1% as a result of an increase in the price by 1%, we have a unitary elastic supply. And as you can see here, the elasticity of supply ranges between 0 and infinity. Okay, this is theoretically. Okay, definitely we don't have indefinite, but theoretically we can have that. Also, we can have another extreme called the zero value. When the price went up by 1%, nothing happened to the quantity supplied. In that case, the elasticity of supply will be 0. If the price goes up by 1% and as a result the quantity supplied went up indefinitely, in that case we have infinite elasticity of supply. But again, these are all theoretical. What is the meaning of it? The elasticity of supply is a percentage change in the quantity supplied. For a 1% change in price, it is equal to the percentage change in the quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in price. Example. Suppose that the elasticity of supply is 0.5. It means what? It means if the price of the commodity goes up by 1%, the quantity supplied will go up by 0.5%. Okay? Or if the price goes up by 10%, the quantity supplied will go up by 5%. Or if the price of the commodity goes up by 100%, the quantity supplied will go up by 50%. And vice versa. What does it mean vice versa? Suppose that the price went down by 1%. In that case, if I have elasticity of supply of 0.5, if the price goes down by 5%, the quantity supplied will go down by 0.5%. If the price of the commodity went down by 10%, then the quantity supplied will go down by 5%. Or if the price goes down by 100%, the quantity supplied will go down by 50%. This is the meaning of elasticity of 0.5. Remember, elasticity of supply is always positive. Why? Because there is a positive relationship between the price of the commodity and the quantity supplied, ceteris paribus. Everything else remains unchanged. Okay. Here they talk about the effect of positive price, or if the firm enjoys economic profit. Okay. In that case, suppose that we have an individual firm operating in a perfect competitive market that is producing positive profits all the way. Okay. In that case, other firms will do the same. Okay. What does mean other firms will do the same? And probably new producers will come to the industry. Okay. Because nobody can prevent them from not coming in. The demand of resources will go up. Prices of the resources, which are the inputs, will go up. Okay. As a result, the cost of production will go up. Okay. And the amount supplied will go up. And as a result, the market price will. Okay. Any inefficient producer will disappear from the market, because remember, no individual producer can have any control on the market. How can we display graphically an efficient producer and inefficient producers? Just look at their cost curves. If the cost curve of the producer, remember here we're having money here. And here is the level of output measured in physical units. Look, for example, we are having two producers here, the red producer and the blue producer. Okay, the average total cost curve for the red producer. Okay, which one is more efficient? The red producer or the blue producer? Okay, forget about what I said. Here we are talking about, in order for the producer to be efficient, okay, it means that the average cost curves must be down, not up. So for example, a producer who has ATC0 is more efficient than a producer who has ATC1. Okay, likewise, a producer who has we only talk about efficiency in terms of average cost curves, not on marginal cost curves. Okay, so let us say that we have two producers. One of them has ATC0 and the other has ATC1. It means that the producer who has ATC0 is more efficient than the producer who has ATC1, because the producer who has ATC0 can produce the same level of output that the producer who has ATC1 can produce, but at a level of cost that is less than the other producer. Okay? And again, this is advanced, forget about that graph. This is a little difficult for you, but I hope that you understood what I covered so far. Because this story is very complicated, I have to show it to you graphically by myself, which something I cannot do online here. Okay, so forget about that. But what you can learn from that graph is the following. Okay, suppose that we have two producers. One of them has ATC0 and one of them has ATC1. Which one is more efficient? The one who has ATC0. Why? Because his cost curves are down, not up. This is what I want you to learn from that graph. Forget about that graph. This graph tells you how things will move if we include time in the story. Okay, what we call it long run adjustments. Okay, it is exactly what I told you before. Okay, suppose that the price is high of the product. Okay, I am making, as an individual producer, positive prices. I am making economic profit. In that case, what will others will do? Others will be encouraged to produce what I am producing because they saw me making profit. Can I prevent them from getting into the industry? No, I cannot. Okay, by having them into the industry, they will produce more. Okay, when they produce more, the quantity supplied will increase, the price eventually will go down. The price will keep going down and going down till all of the inefficient producers leave the industry. Why they are inefficient? Because their average total costs are high. When they leave the industry, the quantity supplied will go down. Okay? As a result, given the same demand, the price of the commodity will keep going up. Producers will then make money. That will encourage others to get into the industry and produce. When they produce, the quantity supplied increases. As a result, given the constant demand, the price will go down and the story will continue forever. What is the moral of that story in a perfectly competitive market? The moral of the story is that only efficient producers will stay in business. The producers who have low average cost curves. Any producers in a perfectly competitive market who have high average cost curve will disappear. Okay, why they will disappear? Because they cannot control the price. If their costs go up, they cannot increase the price to match the increases in costs, and as a result, they will be kicked out of business. And the story continues forever. The moral of the story in a perfectly competitive market is that in the two things that are very important in the perfectly competitive market, if you have competition, inefficient producers will eventually disappear. Okay, and efficient producers in the long run will make profits only that covers their costs. Okay, because in some years they will make a lot of money, and in some other years they will barely cover their costs. In the long run, they will be able to continue, but in the long run, the profits that they make in good years will cancel out for the profits that they do not make in bad years. So two things happen because of competition. Only efficient producers remain in business. Okay, producers who operate in the perfect competitive market in the long run can only have profits that barely cover the costs, because in some years they make a lot of money and some other years they barely cover costs. Okay, consumers in a perfect competitive market will be in heaven because they will never pay a price that is above average cost of production of the producer. Okay, in the long run. Okay, so having competition is very bad for producers, but very good for consumers. So luckily, guys, the food market is a perfectly competitive market. Consumers are in heaven because they pay a price, okay, that is very close to the average cost of production of the producer. Don't tell me that, okay, we are assuming absence of corruption, remember, huh? Again, this is what I just said. How prices are determined, I kept saying output price, market price, okay? When market demand that shows consumers' desires intersects with market supply that shows producers' motivation, we get equilibrium price quantity that is shown right here. Here we have the market price measured in dollars or in pounds, and here this is the market quantity demanded and supplied. Here we have quantity demanded and supplied. Okay. When the supply intersects with demand, we get market equilibrium. So PE is price equilibrium, QE is quantity equilibrium. At QE, which is quantity equilibrium, the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. Okay? This is market equilibrium. Market equilibrium happens when the demand curve intersects with the supply curve. Okay? Remember, both of the demand curve and supply curve, they are functions of the price of output. Okay? Assuming that everything else remains unchanged. So we have the market quantity demanded and quantity supplied is a function of price. This is supply, this is a demand. When they intersect, we say that we achieve the market equilibrium. Equilibrium معناها اتزان, which means that this is the equilibrium price or PE, and this is equilibrium quantity. At equilibrium quantity, quantity demand is equal to quantity supplied. And this is the market price, but did you see the horizontal line that we saw before in the previous graphs? These are all the market price. It means that whether you produce zero amount or big amount, anyway the market price is PE. And the same thing for the consumer. Whether there is a market price for the product. If you demand zero, still we have the market price equal to PE. If you demand whatever you want, in the perfectly competitive market, the consumer can buy any amounts that he or she wants as long as they pay the market price, which is P of E. And the producers can sell any amount they want as long as they sell it at the market price, which is P of E. Okay, so market equilibrium is the intersection of market demand and market supply. At equilibrium, quantity demanded by consumers equal to quantity supplied. Okay, and the QE and the quantity, the price, which the quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied, and the equilibrium price will be PE. In that case, we say that the market clears. When the demand is equal to supply, we say that the market clears. It means that we are in a state of equilibrium. It means that we do not have shortage of the product or surplus of the product. Can we get this equilibrium? Yes, we can. It means that we have either shortage or surplus. Okay? Shortage means that whatever we want, we don't have enough of. Surplus, it means that whatever we want, we have a lot of. Okay? So if the quantity supplied doesn't equal to the quantity demanded, it means that we have market disequilibrium. Okay? This situation occurs if equilibrium is disturbed by either a shift in demand or a shift in supply or a shift in both. Okay? Shift of demand, it means the demand goes to the right or to the left. Okay? Increase in demand or decrease in demand. Supply shifts, it means that we have either increase in supply or decrease in supply. Supply moves to the right or moves to the right. This is an example of a surplus. Suppose that this is, again, this is the price measured in dollars, and this is the quantity demanded and supplied, which is Q. Okay? This is the supply curve and the demand curve. The market equilibrium happens at PE and the QE. But suppose that the price went up to P1. In that case, this Q1 will be the quantity demanded, and the Q2 will be the quantity supplied. Quantity supplied will be more than the quantity demanded because Q2 is bigger than Q1. In that case, we have a surplus. That surplus will disappear over time, don't worry, okay? Because the price, okay, as time goes by, things get adjusted. This is an example of the opposite. This is supply and this is a demand, okay? Market price, market equilibrium is PE. Suppose that the price is below market equilibrium, okay? In that case, at P1, the quantity demanded is Q1 and the quantity supplied is Q2, okay? Quantity supplied, sorry, at P1, we have quantity supplied is Q1 and quantity demanded is Q2. Q2 is bigger than Q1, which means the quantity demanded is bigger than quantity supplied. We will have a shortage. You wanted the commodity, but you cannot find it. What will happen is that the price will keep rising. In the previous slide, because the quantity supplied was more than the quantity demanded, the price will keep going down. The price will keep fluctuating between up and down till it reaches equilibrium in the end. So you will have neither shortage nor surplus if you are operating in a perfectly competitive market, and assuming that, of course, the producers have enough inputs to produce whatever they want to produce. Okay. Suppose that we have shortage, which means that the quantity demanded is more than the quantity supplied. In that case, we will have the case of what we call it parallel market or black market. Okay? In that case, we have shortage of the commodity. The quantity demanded is more than the quantity supplied. What will happen is that the government will do what is called rationing. Okay? It is used if there is a shortage. Okay? Rationing, it means that consumers will get certain amounts of the commodity by the power of the government. Okay? That case will happen, the case of the black market, because consumers are willing to pay a higher price. As a result, you will see some traders and some producers will hide the commodity and they will avail it to the people, the consumers who can pay more. Okay, and we have a lot of that in developing nations, and we saw that here. Remember, if like the situation that we're having in the coronavirus right now, some producers, some supermarkets hide the products, okay, to give the impression to the consumers that we have shortage in these commodities, okay, and they can give it to you if you pay a little bit more. This is a case, in that case, the government should intervene and do what is called rationing, which means that they assign a certain amount of the commodity to each family in order to avoid that type of thing. But even if the government do that, you will have a black market, okay? How can we eliminate black market? By the enforcement of law that has to be done on behalf of the governments. Okay, forget about that. Forget about this slide. Okay.